How good are you at remembering? I find I'm okay as long as I write things down. Otherwise I forget, because life is so busy. In fact, I often remember things just before I go to bed at night, when I've stopped and my head is clear and I have to write a list, and I get really annoyed with myself. Life is so busy, we often don't take the time to stop and remember, but that's exactly what we asked people to do on Sunday morning. To come and remember the people who died in the Great Wars, to remember people who died in other conflicts, or maybe just to remember people that they have loved and lost. 100 years on from 1918, it felt even more important to stop and remember. What we wanted to do was to give one generation the chance to share with the next why remembrance is really important to them, because we need our younger generation to pick up the baton and run with it. Remembering is important. But as well as remembering and looking back on Sunday morning, we also did something else. We looked forward. We pledged to be peacemakers. I don't know if you know this, but jelly babies were first introduced in 1918 as peace babies. They were introduced by a Christian who recognised that in 1918 we were all babies when it came to peace. And actually, after a long war, we needed a fresh start. And there's something about a baby which says a fresh start. On Sunday morning, we recognised that wars and conflict happen because the world is broken. It's not as God wants it to be. The world needs a fresh start too. In pledging to be peacemakers, we also recognise two things. One is that we need to help each other because we can't do it on our own. And the second one is that we need God's help. And actually, the chap who invented peace babies knew that too. Because every single peace baby, or jelly baby as you might know them now, has a little symbol on them that reminds us that the world is broken, it's not as God wants, but He is the ultimate peacemaker. Let me explain. The black jelly baby has a heart. It reminds us of God's love for the world, but it's black because the things we do wrong separate us from God's love. The green baby is crying because brokenness and separation is not what God wants for us and His creation. On the red one, there's a B that stands for Jesus' blood, reminding us that Jesus died because He loves us and to show people the way back to being friends with God. The pink baby is there because we're all invited to become friends with God, to be His children. The yellow jelly baby wears a necklace that stands for the riches of heaven, God's promises for the future. And the orange jelly baby wears a bag that suggests we need to be ready for our journey through life and when Jesus will come again. 100 years ago, at the end of the First World War, life must have felt very bleak and perhaps even hopeless. But as Christians, we have hope. We know that one day God will bring heaven to earth and the world will be as He intends it. Until that day, as peacemakers, we're pledging to do our bit in our own lives and in our communities to live for peace. So, as we look back and remember, we can use poppies. But as we look forward and pledge to be peacemakers, maybe we can use jelly babies. Maybe the next time you eat one of these, you can challenge yourself about how you can live as a peacemaker in our world.